This video is on systems of linear equation word problems. These are just a little bit different, so I wanted to give you a little bit of an explanation about it. You should have printed out the worksheet that goes along with this video already. If you haven't, hit pause and do that. That way you can follow along, you can copy down the correct solution, and you can use that to do your assignments. It will help you to do your assignments. So let me read this to you. It says, Samantha and Scott both open up savings accounts. Samantha deposits a starting amount of $20 and then adds $15 each month. Scott deposits a starting amount of $35 and then adds $10 each month. At what month will they have the same amount in their accounts, and how much will that be? So just like the other word problems, the first thing we're going to do is define our variables. In this case, though, we're going to use an x and a y, and there's a specific meaning. If you sort of listened to these equations, they're a little bit different than the other ones. They are, the equations that you're going to come up with are all in the form y equals mx plus b, where b is our starting amount, and m is our slope or our rate of change. And when we talk about word problems, we usually refer to m as a rate of change. So we're going to write two equations in the form y equals mx plus b, and then we're going to solve them. And because they're already in the form y equals mx plus b, it's very easy to graph them. So we'll go ahead and graph them to check and make sure that our solution is correct. So let's go back to define our variables. Just like we did before, we're going to look to our question to find out what the variables are. So this says, at what month will they have the same amount in their accounts, and how much will that be? So x is going to be the month, how many months they'll have been saving for. And y, well, remember from when we were learning about y equals mx plus b, that's always the total, right? Because that's the answer to our problem. So this is going to be the total amount they'll have in their account. Okay, now we have it writing our equations out, and I went ahead and put in the two different topics we're going to have. One is based on Samantha and one is based on Scott. So here's the information about Samantha. It says that she deposits a starting amount of $20 and then adds $15 each month. So what we know about y equals mx plus b, b is our starting point, right? That initial deposit of $20, that would be our b. And then when it's talking about adding $15 each month, well, that's a rate of change because each month it's going up by $15. So this is our m. So Samantha's equation is going to be y equals 15x plus 20. Just so we understand the meaning of this, she started out with $20 in her account. X is the month, so every month she will add $15. And then when you add all this up, you're going to get y, which is the total in her account. Now we'll go ahead and do Scott. Scott deposits a starting amount of $35 and then adds $10 each month. So his equation is going to be y equals 10x plus 35. Okay. Now we can move down. Now that we have our equations, all that's left is to solve to figure out at what month, which is the x, they'll have the same amount in their accounts, and how much will that be? That's my y. So I'm searching for the one point on this graph where these two lines cross, And I'm going to find that by solving these simultaneously. And remember that when we do elimination, we want our equations to have the same number but a different sign, right, as their coefficients. So if you look at my y's, I'm almost there because both of those y's have a coefficient of 1. So if I would just go through and change the sign of everything here, so essentially multiply by -1, I would have my y's to be opposite coefficients, which is what I'm looking for. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it doesn't matter which one I choose. Let's say we choose this one. I'm going to multiply all of that by -1 and just change the sign of everything. So I'll go ahead and write that down here. I'm going to have a -y equals a -10x minus 35. I'll write the other equation right underneath of it, so I can write that big addition problem. Add, there we go. Okay, so again, I have a -y, positive y, that's a 0. The only difference here is that this is the only thing on this side of the equation. So I have to put that 0 in to sort of hold that place. I have a -10 and a positive 15, that's a positive 5x. And a -35 and a positive 20, that's a -15. All right, I still just want to get this x all by itself. Don't let the fact that this is a 0 throw you, because 0 is a number just like every other number. So if this were 2 or 5 or 7, you would do the same thing. You would want to add 15 to both sides. Just because it's a 0 doesn't mean I would do anything differently. That cancels, and I have 15 on this side and just a 5x on this side. Divide both sides by 5, and x equals 3. We know from defining our variables that x is the month. So I know that at the 3rd month, after them saving money for 3 months, that's when they're going to have the same amount. But in order to find how much that is, I need to take the 3 and replace it back in the equation for x. I'll do that in green so you can see that a little bit better. I'll rewrite. It doesn't matter which equation I choose. We'll just choose the second one. So 15 times 3 instead of times x plus 20. So y equals 45 plus 20, and that'll give me 65. So this tells me that after 3 months of savings, both Samantha and Scott will have $65 in their account. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to graph that. You have to be very careful when you label this. Each one is going to be a little bit different because you're dealing with different numbers, and you can label it any way you choose. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in our x and our y. So x is months and y is the total amount of money in their account. So we'll write months down here. And I'm just going to write money over here. Save some time. Now I want to label it. So I start at 0, months, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't have to go very far because I know at month 3 is when they have the same amount of money in their account, so I can stop there. Now I'm going to go here. I'm going to count by 5s because if I count by 1s, I'll run out of room. And I'm actually going to only write in every other number just because it is a little bit tight. So this one is 5. I won't write it. This one's 10. Won't write 15. This one's 20. Here's 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70. And I know I don't have to go any higher because I know 65 is where they have the same amount in their accounts. So let's see now if I can graph this. Looking at my two equations here, we can start with this equation right here. I start off at the point 20. That's my y-intercept. See if we can do this in a different color so we can see it a little bit better. So I start off at 20. Then I have my slope. It's 15 over 1, don't forget. So I'm going to go up 15, and you have to be careful because I did do my y by 5s. So when I count, I have to count by 5s. So I'm going to go up 5, 10, 15, and over 1. Up 5, 10, 15, and over 1. And again, you can continue to do this as much as you want. The pattern stays the same. And then I'll be able to draw that line in there. There we go. So that is y equals 15x plus 20. You can see that that's Samantha's line of savings. So we'll just write Sam there for her. Now we want to do Scott's. Y equals 10x plus 35. So I'm going to start at 35. So he started higher. 35. Right here is where he started. And now he's going to go up 10 and over 1. So I'm going to count by 5s. 5, 10, and over 1. Up 10 and over 1. Up 10 and over 1. Look at that. I'm hitting right here. And that is at 3,65, which is exactly the answer that I got. So this checks out. And I know that I did my math correctly. If I continue on, I can put my line in there. Let's put that line in there. Started here. Let me go up to here. And that one is Scott. So let's just see what we have here. These two lines, we look, Scott starts off higher. But then at month 3, he and Samantha have the same amount in their accounts. But then Scott continues with less money in his account each month because he's not adding to it as quickly as Samantha is. So even though she starts off less, she ends up surpassing him, right? And she's going to continue to have more money in her account. So I hope this helped, and I hope you're okay to do your assignments.